Hello everyone, my name is Deb Detter, and I'm a woman in long-term recovery, which for me means that I have not used alcohol or drugs since June of 1985. And in fact, I'm really excited to be doing this little video clip, this Recovery Minute Now, because this month is my anniversary month, and I just received my 28th year medallion, which I'd love to show you, from my dear friend back in my home community of Albany, New York. The really wonderful thing about this medallion is that for 28 years, the same person has given me this medallion or a medallion like this every year for 28 years. And for me, that's an enormous blessing. And it's also something that I never thought would be possible in my life. And so just to say a little bit about myself and about my recovery and where I've come from and who I am today, the first thing that I always want to make sure people understand is that I came from a very difficult childhood situation and learned how not to have self-esteem, how not to have self-confidence, how not to see myself in positive ways. And it took a long time for me to learn a different way of being. In fact, when I got into recovery, that really was, for me, the transformative experience. I, before then, had a lot of trouble with alcohol and drugs for about 10 years. Started using alcohol and drugs around age 15, really to survive the feelings that I had, to survive the inner experiences that I had. And one thing I just want to say is that that taught me that you can't judge a book by its cover. If you had looked at me back then, you would not have known what I was going through. Most people didn't. On the surface, everything looked like it was going okay. I didn't have self-confidence, but you might not have known that. And I've learned that people hold a lot of things inside that we don't always know about. So that was definitely the situation for me. Feeling like I felt, I started using alcohol and drugs at a young age to survive. And then I got addicted, and then I got out of control, and then some really scary and bad things started happening in my life until I found recovery. And for me, finding recovery was really about working in the field first and learning about addiction and recovery from other people before it started coming closer and closer to home, where I started realizing that I was in trouble too. And once I got into recovery, it was a difficult path early on. Difficult enough that in truth, I'm not sure I would have gone through that path at that time if I had known how difficult it was going to be. But fortunately for me, there were a lot of women especially who held me up and carried me. I received treatment. I went to a women's therapy group for a lot of years to try to learn how to do this in a different way. I found 12-step support to help myself and just surrounded myself with a network of really loving, wonderful people who are also in recovery. And that saved my life. That saved my life. It also taught me new ways to look at myself. I had to do a lot of work on the inner torment that I had and learn how to love myself and to see myself in different ways. And so that really was my journey. It's been one of self-discovery, one from the inside out. And I'm really delighted to tell you that I feel really blessed at this point in my life. I have a life that's beyond compare. I have learned how to love and to live in ways that I never knew were possible and that weren't possible, frankly, growing up the way that I grew up or being in the situations that I was in. I have learned new ways of being in the world, and I feel fully alive. I'm someone who really values living from the inside out. I'm found a spiritual path through my recovery. I practice contemplative prayer and meditation on a daily basis. I take care of my well-being in every way possible, trying to pay attention to nutrition and health. I'm surrounded by loving people in my life, and I have really good networks. And again, none of that was really possible, the direction that I was going. So it's real important for me to tell people that healing is not only possible, it's been a reality in my life, and that if I could do it, you can do it. And many other women and people that I know, men and women, have done what I've done. So I hope this is a message of hope for you and can demonstrate what's possible by being in recovery from alcohol and other drugs. Thank you so much for listening to my story.